It says I'm live. Are you seeing me? All right. Well, is this working? Okay, there we go. Does that look all right? Thank you so much. Talk to you later. Hello, everyone out there. So I've been Zooming and whatnot lately, and so I'm used to hearing back, and I'm not going to hear back from anyone. So I will have to assume. Can people see me? If you can see me, write that you can see me. Say something in there. Also, on the comments, also make sure you put where you're from. I really like to know where you're from. It's really a neat part of this. And I'm a couple minutes early, so you have me at this stage. I was very panicked that I would mess this up. I don't want to mess this up. I was also panicked because earlier I was making sure I didn't have anything weird on my face. And I thought, oh my goodness, if I'm transmitting right now, then people are seeing me look for things on my face and I'm not supposed to touch it. It's all very, very complicated. But okay, so I see some people popping up saying hello. I won't officially get started quite yet. Oh my goodness, I got a note here from Stuart Gibbs, great writer Stuart Gibbs. So, okay, so we have a lot of Central Florida here, which is great. JNENU of Orlando, Gene Alexander of Oviedo, my Central Florida folks coming in strong with me. I am in my new office. I just moved. Actually, it turned out to be very good timing. I moved a couple days before you could no longer move. And so we have been setting up, so it's a little Spartan in places. I don't normally stack the books, but I didn't want it to have just a lot of white space in the shot. Oh my God, we have Sharon Powers on Lake Nona. I recognize some of these names, but then it's great. Some of these names I don't know at all. Actually, Hart, are you in Montana? Is that what I'm seeing there? Oh my goodness. Okay, so we're still a minute early. I don't want to jump the gun. I just wanted to make sure I could figure out how to do this. And yes, I am that pasty in real life, which is odd because I'm Italian. I should have darker skin, but at my age, it's just this. All right. So I hope everyone has been staying safe and staying home. I hope you've been reading all kinds of things you could read. St. Mary Magdalene. Oh, great. Look at all these people. Okay, so we're 1 minute away. Okay, we have people from, and there are 36 of you. I really thought there would be 3 of you, so this is good. And I know there are going to be some people watching who are actually relatives and friends, which is fine as long as, you know, you're not just watching to mock me later on. And I also want to stress that we have the comments open, which is great because I want feedback. I want to talk about the things that you want to talk about. But remember, there are a lot of kids reading and watching, so be appropriate in what you write and thoughtful in what you write. So my name is James Ponti, and I am a writer. I write kids' books, and I meant to have them all here, and I don't. They're back here. I wrote the Dead City books, the framed books, and now I'm writing City Spies. City Spies is my brand new novel that just came out a couple weeks ago. It came out on March the 10th, and I guess that's 3 weeks ago today. So wow, it's been 3 crazy weeks for the book. It's been 3 really unusual weeks for our country, our planet, and one of the great things about it is that in this time, I've really loved being part of the kid-lit community. Writers, authors, booksellers, librarians have all really come on strong, and I'm very proud of that because this is a reminder of the importance that books play in our life. We are at home, we can't get out, but we can travel the world in these books, we can connect to these books, and now through the technology like this, which so many of us writers, I will admit, are not the best at, we can connect in ways we've never connected before. There is, it's my hope that a lot of these things that we are doing now are things that will continue on after, when things go back to normal and we go back to buzzing around, that we still realize, wait, it was really great that we had these author chats or that we had these connection things. And so I hope that we will continue to do them. I am especially pleased to be on this thing called Stimola Live. I'm sure some of you are wondering, what's Stimola Live? It sounds like some, amazing Italian thing, and that's kind of what it is. Rosemary Stimola is my agent, and she's incredible, and she's amazing. And she has the Stimola Literary Studio, which has some other great, amazing agents. Erica Rand Silverman, who did so much to set this up. Ali Helger, I can't pronounce her last name. I think it's Helger, something like that, who also is essential in setting this up. And they are the first wave of people who help get books to people. But now, enough of that. Let's talk about Sleuths, Spies, and Random Skulduggery. I write mostly mystery stuff. I write, hold these off so I can talk about them with props. So the Dead City books they exist. I'm just not writing them anymore. The Dead City books are about a secret society that polices the undead that live in New York City. They live underneath Manhattan. And there's all kinds of mysterious elements in that. And I like doing that. And then I love mystery. So the next series I wrote is the Frame series. A lot of you probably know. The concept of Frame is toast, the theory of all small things. Florian Bates is the character in the books, and he solves mysteries. And not like Sherlock Holmes, who I think kind of cheats, because Sherlock just knows everything. But he solves mysteries by noticing little details, by using toast, that theory of all small things. And he does it with his best friend, Margaret, and they live in Washington, D.C. And I've written 3 of these books. One of them's even won a big award, which is big exciting, the Edgar Award for Mystery Book. And I hope to write more of these books. Hint, hint, in case my editors or publishers are out there watching. I hope to write more of these books. But right now, I am on a streak of writing a new series called CITY SPIES. In fact, book 2 is due tomorrow. So as soon as I'm done with this, I'm going back to writing that. And CITY SPIES is a story about 5 different kids from all around the world who have fallen through the cracks of different societies. Foster care, homelessness. They've had really rough lives, and in those lives, they've had to be incredibly resilient. And in those lives, in a lot of ways, they've been anonymous. People haven't noticed them so much. And that's a terrible way to grow up. But as it happens, it's a really good training to become a spy. And without spoiling the novel, and I'll read a little bit in a minute, they all get caught. They all end up living together with a pair of British spies, MI6 agents. They live in Scotland in an old manor house, kind of like a castle, and they become the ultimate secret weapon of British secret intelligence. They are a team of spies who no one would notice because they're kids. They're a team of spies who can go where adult spies can't go because they'd stand out too much. And it's so much fun to write. And each of them has, as their code name, the city where they're from, because when they join it, they have to wipe out their past, and they take the connection to the past is they keep the name of the city they come from. So I'll give you an example. I'll introduce you to the City Spies. I have these made out for when I do certain events where I can drive and fit them in. So the first, Paris. Paris is a, is that backwards? I can never tell if this stuff works right or not. Sorry about that. This is Paris, and Paris is a boy who is from Rwanda, but he's homeless in Paris, which is how he gets that as his name. And he actually saves the life of a British spy whose code name is Mother. And Mother is a key part of this. He's the one who oversees the spies. And he saves Mother's life. Mother adopts him, brings them to England, and that's how the City Spies are born. Then there's Sydney. And again, I think the writing on these turned backwards, but you can see the face. But artwork, Yaya Malvanesque, an amazing artwork. This is Sydney. She's this rebel. She likes surfing and blowing things up, but she's really great and really righteous and really believes in fighting for the right things. This is Rio. Rio is a street magician from Rio de Janeiro, and he's used to performing, so he's quick on his feet. He has incredible dexterity, incredible sleight of hand, and all kinds of things that really are valuable for spies. In fact, magicians are so valuable as spies that the CIA once hired Harry Houdini's best friend to prepare this. This is the CIA Manual of Trickery and Deception. It's actually how to use magic to be a better spy. And it's one of the many research elements that I use. Teachers out there always are stressing, what do you do for research? Well, I have research books everywhere. The history of spying, all kinds of stuff, because that's really important to me to get that right. And when you do your writing at school, for those of you who are students, it's really important you there. Okay, this is Cat. Cat is perhaps my favorite character. Cat's short for Kathmandu, and she is a math wizard. She sees the world all as math equations, and she sees patterns where other people see chaos. That makes her an incredible code breaker. It also makes her socially awkward at times, but I was socially awkward my whole life, so I kind of like writing about that. And then the main character in this book, at least, and the characters are going to change in each book who's the main character, is Brooklyn. And Brooklyn is a girl, actually, whose original name is Sarah, and it starts off with Sarah. Well, I'll read where it starts off. So this is City Spies, and here we go. Okay, how are we doing here in these notes? Have I messed up anything? Anyone? Oh, Danielle says Framed is one of her favorite books, so that's awesome. All right, City Spies. And I never know how much to read on this, so I apologize if I read too much, but I want to give you a taste of it. And I'm going to read from the beginning. That way I'm not spoiling anything for those who think I spoil. How do you hold this up so it looks the best? No. Is that the right? Okay. Back here. Here we go. We'll do it from back here. And I'll cross my legs even though you can't see it. Okay. Now I'm like Alistair Cook on Masterpiece Theater. Sarah looked at the water stain on the wall and imagined it was an island. She wasn't sure if that was because it actually looked like one or just because she so desperately wished she were in some tropical paradise far from Brooklyn in this tiny room on the 8th floor of the Kings County Family Court. She sat across the table from her public defender, a massive man in a rumpled suit named Randall Stubbs. His bulky frame hunched over as he scanned her file. "This doesn't look good," he muttered, because stating the obvious was apparently something they taught in law school. "You're lucky they made such a generous offer." "They have?" Sarah asked, surprised. "What is it?" He looked up from the file and said, "You plead guilty to all charges and get 30 months in juvenile detention." 2.5 years in juvie didn't sound generous to Sarah, but it probably wasn't much worse than her last few foster homes. She was tough for a 12-year-old. She could handle it. And of course, he added, "You won't be allowed near a computer." This, however, was unacceptable. For how long? For the duration of your sentence. Maybe longer as a condition of your release. That'll be up to the judge. "But all I did was..." "What?" he interrupted. "Hack into the computer network for the entire juvenile justice system of New York City? Is that what you were going to say? Because that's not what I'd call an all-I-did situation." "I know, but I was only trying to..." "It doesn't matter what you were trying to do. All that matters is what you did. You're lucky you're 12. If you were 13, they probably would have bumped you up to a higher court to make an example out of you." The weight of this hit her hard, and for the first time, she regretted her actions. Not because they were against the law. Legal or not, she had no doubt that she'd done the right thing. But she never considered that she could be banished from the one corner of the world that made sense to her. The only time Sarah felt at home was when she's sitting at a computer keyboard. Okay, we're doing all right so far? "I'll never hack again," she said. "I promise." "Oh, you promise," he responded sarcastically. "Maybe you can cross your heart and hope to die once we get in court. I'm sure that'll fix everything." Sarah struggled when it came to controlling her temper, a diagnosis confirmed by multiple counselors and at least 2 school psychologists. Still, she tried to keep cool as she looked at the man who was supposed to be helping her. She couldn't risk angering him, because he was her only hope for a positive outcome. So she took a deep breath and counted to 10, except for one of those counselors whose name she'd long since forgotten. "If I can't use a computer," she said, barely masking her desperation, "then I can't do the one thing I'm good at, the thing that makes me special." "Yeah, well, you should have thought of that before you..." She probably would have lost her temper right then and there if the door hadn't suddenly flown open, and into the room stepped a man who was, in every way, the opposite of her attorney. He was tall and thin with a thatch of unruly black hair. His suit was impeccable. His tie matched his pocket square. And he spoke with a British accent. Fair warning, I can't even fake a British accent. So I'm going to read this like just a Southern boy, and you will have to add a British accent in your ears. Sorry to interrupt, he said politely, but I believe you're in my seat. You've got the wrong room, grumbled Stubbs. Now, if you don't mind, I'm having a conference with my client. Except according to this substitution of counsel form, she's my client, the other man replied as he showed Stubbs the piece of paper. This brought an instant smile to Sarah's face. Stubbs eyed the man. That doesn't make any sense. She can't afford a fancy lawyer like you. She doesn't have any money. Of course she doesn't have any money. She's 12. 12-year-olds don't have money. They have bicycles and rucksacks. This one, however, also happens to have an attorney. This paper says I've been retained to represent Miss Sarah Maria Martinez. He turned to her and smiled. Is that you? Yes, sir. Brilliant. That means I'm in the right place. Who retained you? Asked the public defender. An interested party, said the man. Beyond that, it's not your concern. So if you'll please leave, Sarah and I have much to talk about. We're due before a judge shortly. Stubbs mumbled to himself as he shoveled his papers into his briefcase. I'm going to check this out. There's a lovely lady named Valerie who can help you, said the British man. She's the clerk of the court on the 7th floor. I know where she is, Stubbs snapped as he squeezed past the man and into the hallway. He started to say something else, but instead just made a frustrated noise and stormed off. Once Stubbs was gone, the new attorney closed the door and sat across from Sarah. I've never seen that before, he marveled. He literally left the room in a huff. She had no idea who might have hired an attorney for her, but she was certainly happy with the change. I've never seen it either. Now I'm checking the comments. You guys aren't getting too bored yet, right? And actually, it's the 12-year-old is in family court. And okay. I'll keep reading. All right. Now tell me, he said as he popped open the latches of his briefcase. Okay. Go back. She had no idea who might have hired an attorney for her, but she was certainly happy with the change. I've never seen it either. Now tell me, he said, as he popped open the latches of his briefcase. Is it true? Did you hack into the computers of the city's juvenile justice system? She hesitated to answer. You needn't worry. Attorney-client privilege forbids me from telling anyone what you say in here. I just need to know if it's true. She gave a slight nod. Yes, it's true. Brilliant, he said with a wink. He pulled a computer from his briefcase and handed it to her. I need you to do it again. Do what again? Hack into the juvenile justice database, he said. I need you to make me your attorney of record before Mr. Stubbs gets to the 7th floor and checks for himself. You mean you're not my attorney? Never stepped foot in a law school, he said conspiratorially. So chop chop. I've got an associate who's going to lay him on the hallway, but she'll only be able to do that for so long. Sarah's head was spinning. She didn't know what to think. Listen, I don't know who you are, but this court's supposed to assign me a lawyer. A real one. And the chap with the mustard stain on his tie is the one it assigned, he replied, shaking his head. I don't know about you, but I'm not particularly impressed. Over the last 9 years, that same court has assigned you to 6 foster families and 9 schools. It's been one botched job after another with them. What do you say we try something new? She looked at him and then at the computer. She was tempted, but she was also confused. I don't think... What did he say would happen, he interrupted. I bet he's already worked out a deal with the prosecutor. 2.5 years in juvie, and I'm banned from using a computer. He shook his head. I can do better than that, even without a law degree. For reasons she didn't fully understand, Sarah believed him. Maybe it was wishful thinking. Maybe it was desperation. Either way, she trusted her gut and started typing. Should I keep going to the end of the chapter, just a couple more pages? Okay. Yes, okay. We'll see. Excellent, he said. You probably won't regret this. Probably. She raised an eyebrow. Shouldn't you be trying to build my confidence? Only fools and liars speak with certainty about things beyond their control, he replied. But I'm optimistic, so I rate our chances around 87%. Sarah smiled and continued typing. What kind of computer is this? Bespoke, he answered. I thought I knew all the computer companies, but I've never heard of that one. It's not a company. Bespoke means something has been tailor-made to the specific needs of an individual. Someone made this for you? He nodded. Well, whoever bespoke it really knew what they were doing. Wait until you see the massive one, he said. You're going to love it. That is if we're not both behind bars by the end of the day. Sarah knew computers well, but she'd never seen one like this. It was fast and powerful, and she quickly shredded through the firewall that was supposed to protect the juvenile justice portal. They didn't even fix the back door, I used the other day, she said in disbelief. Large institutions move slowly, he said. Hopefully large attorneys do too. It took her less than 2 minutes to reach the database for attorney assignments. She happily deleted the entry for Randall Stubbs and asked, What's your name? Excellent question, he said as he pulled 3 passports out of his briefcase. Which sounds best? He read from the first one. Croydon St. Vincent Marlborough III. He gave a sour face. Seems a bit excessive, don't you think? She nodded. Yes. We'll pass on that. He read from the next. Nigel Honeybuns. That one made him snicker. Honeybuns. I quite like that. He tucked it into the pocket of his briefcase. I think I'll save that for another time. We're kind of in a hurry, she reminded him. Right, here we go. He said, handing her the last one. Gerald Anderson. That sounds like a proper barrister. Dull, boring, imminently forgettable, which is exactly what we want. That's my name, Gerald Anderson. He handed her the passport so she could check the spelling as she typed it into the database. I just click update, she said as she finished, and we're all set. He flashed a nervous smile and paused to listen. No alarms. He opened the door and leaned out into the hallway. No one rushing to arrest us. Very nice work, Sarah. Except now I have an attorney who's never gone to law school. I've watched a ton of courtroom dramas on the telly. I can handle an appearance from a judge. Don't you mean probably, she replied. He smiled at this. Right. Probably. First, though, I'll need details about the hack. I'm sure they're all in there, she said, pointing at the file. This only tells me what you did. I want to know the reason. The lawyer, the one who actually went to law school, said it didn't matter why I did it. It may not matter to him. It might not even matter to the judge. But it matters very much to me. She thought about her answer for a moment, trying to come up with the most straightforward way to tell it. She didn't want to get upset. She hated showing emotions in front of anyone. My most recent foster parents, Leonard and Deborah Clark. Yeah, them, she said with a sneer. They like to take in more kids than they have room for because the state pays them by the kid. More kids mean more money, whether they spend it on us or not. No one really checks that. We were crammed in the bedrooms that were too small. Rather than give everyone a meal, they put food in the middle of the table so it looked like there was more than there was. They called it family style, which was a joke because they treated us like anything but a family. A new kid named Gabriel came about a month ago. He was scared, sad, lonely, everything you expect from a 5-year-old. He liked me because we were the only Hispanic kids in the house. You spoke Spanish to him? Sometimes, she said, until I made us stop. Mr. Clark told me, you're in America now, so speaking English is something you're going to have to get used to. The lawyer shook his head. And what did you say to that? I pointed out that Puerto Rico was already part of America, that I spent almost my entire life in Brooklyn, and that if he really wanted to speak English well, he shouldn't have sentences with prepositions. The man laughed. Cheeky. I'm not exactly sure what cheeky means, but his cheeks turned red, so I guess. Did you get in trouble? She nodded, the humor of the moment gone. I could handle his punishment, though. It was Gabriel who couldn't. Why was Gabriel punished? She paused and saw him studying her expression. He wanted to watch her eyes as she spoke. One night he wet his bed, she answered. And to punish him, They locked him in the hall closet. I could hear him crying. They didn't care. They would have let him cry all night. So I got up and let him out. And then what happened, he asked. Then they locked me in the closet with them. Told me I had to learn my place. So I picked the lock from the inside and let us both out. She was on the verge of tears, so she stopped for a moment. And then, he prodded, they locked us outside on the roof. They left us there all night. It was cold. It was terrifying. The next morning I went to school, got it past the computer lab, and started working. First I hacked the juvenile justice database to see how many kids have been sent to the Clarks. Then I hacked their bank accounts to show how much money they were taking in and where they were actually spending it. You're not being charged with hacking the bank, he said, flipping through some pages. She grinned. Yeah, they dropped their complaint. I'm pretty sure they don't want the world to find out a 12-year-old girl beat their security system. Nice, he said. I may be able to use that later. What'd you do with this information once you'd gotten it? I sent everything to my social worker, she said. And you know how stupid I am? When I saw the police coming up to the house, I thought they were going to arrest the two of them. For about 45 seconds, I was happy. But they arrested you instead? She nodded. The Clarks even had the other kids line up on the porch so they could see me being led out of the house in handcuffs. She closed her eyes tight, determined not to let a single tear fall. They said, this is what happens to criminals. He'd actually heard the story the night before through a listening device, but he liked hearing stories twice. He wanted to see if they changed. It was always a good indicator of how truthful they were. Besides, seeing her face as she recalled it told him everything he needed to know. That's a good reason, he said. I can work with that. I can make things a lot better. Don't you mean probably? She asked. He smiled warmly. No, I'm certain I can. But I'll need you to do something difficult, something the reports in this file say you're completely incapable of doing. What's that? She asked. I need you to trust me. No matter what I say or do, I need you to trust me. How can I trust you? I don't even know your name. Sure you do. It's Nigel Honeybuns. It's Gerald Anderson. Sometimes it's even Croydon St. Vincent Marlborough III. It all depends on the situation, he said with a shrug. But my friends and colleagues, and I do hope that's a group you'll soon consider yourself to be part of, they all call me Mother. For the first time since she'd been arrested, Sarah laughed. Mother? That's an unusual name for a man. True, he said, smiling at her. But I'm an unusual man, wouldn't you say? So that is the first chapter of City Spies. And I am that way. Kristen Badger is worried about the crown. Of course, I keep my crown nearby. This is the crown that I won at the Florida Association of Media Educators Late Night Library Games. I prize it. It's up there with the Edgar. It's an exciting thing. And so I would like to, I'm going to try to click through your comments. I don't know if any questions came up. Oh, Jamie Wong is the one who made the Paris poster for me. I love the Paris poster when I would do that school visits. Okay. Does anyone have any questions? I was going to talk a little bit about mysteries. We still have 40-some people in here, so that's good. Obviously, if you can leave at any time, and my feelings aren't hurt. I don't see you leave. I understand we all have things to do. But for the people that come, I did want to talk about things. So throw any questions at me, and I can just... Yeah, someone wrote here, the audiobook version of City Spies is great and uses the accent. Yes, Lisa Flanagan, I believe is the narrator's name. She did an amazing job. I wrote her after I listened to it. It's funny. I didn't get a copy of it before. On the day City Spies came out, I bought the audiobook and listened to it on the plane to my school visit. I was so excited to hear it. Lisa Flanagan did a great voice. And after listening, I felt so bad for her because I realized I have kids from around the world. Our main characters have 7 significantly different accents. Everywhere they go in the world has different accents. And she did a great job with all the accents. Let me go down here to the, okay. Not Katie Wong, Camilla Wong. Sorry about that, Camilla. How frequently will the books be released? Should be 1 a year. How many books do you have planned for City Spies? We have already committed to 3. I'm certainly hoping for more than that. There are 5 major characters, and I want to do at least 1 book from each character's perspective. There will probably be another character who joins, but I am willing to do these for as long as Simon & Schuster is willing to let me do them. And I hope to also start doing frames too and going back and forth between the 2. The next City Spies book, I have to finish it first. It should be out, I imagine, in March of next year, but that we don't know for sure. So let me tell you a little about this. So where do writers come from? I'm going to talk for like another 10, 15 minutes. I'm going to go to about 12:45. Like I said, if you're bored, want to go, no hard feelings. As long as anyone's still there, I kind of keep going for a little bit. But first, I'm going to show some cool stuff. So I'm going to figure out a way. I'm on Twitter at James Ponti. I'm at Instagram at James Ponti Books. I'm going to find a way to give away some of these bookmark sets. So it's a 1-sheeter, and each one is a bookmark when you pull them off. But each bookmark is different for all the characters. So, you know, if you're interested in that kind of stuff, follow me on Twitter and Facebook. And to be honest, I've been so focused on finishing City Spies 2, writing it, that I haven't figured out some of the neat ways to do some things like this. So if you're interested, follow there, and I will try to come up with some contests. And also, I'm not going to the post office. I feel really terrible. I don't know if she's out there. Fiona Simpson, who edited this book, no longer is at Simon & Schuster. So I have this copy to mail to her and this note to mail to her, and I've not been able to make it to the post office because I'm trying to be good and isolate and do all that kind of stuff. So sometime I will get that soon. I will get that figured out. Also, I don't know how I'm going to do these. I just love these. So let me show you something here. Okay. Oh, I have special City Spies note cards, and I'm gonna use one of them here. And special City Spies invisible ink pens. So I'm gonna write my Twitter address, and again, I think it comes up backwards. I don't know how to fix that. All right, so I hold that up. Well, there's no writing there. There's no writing there. You turn on this handy dandy light, and is it going to not show up? It may not show up on camera. Okay. Interesting scientific development. Well, it says at James Ponti, so that's a lesson learned. All right. Cool stuff like that. So people wonder, how do you become an author? Why do how did that come to be? And I thought we might talk a little bit about that. And who's your favorite character from any of your books? From Cole, whose favorite character is Molly in Dead City? I don't really have favorite characters, and I don't mean that in a way that you say, oh, I don't have favorite kids. It's all the characters have different values that come to me and are important to me. Just like I don't have a favorite book. To me, they're actually all one long book that's now 7 books long. You've heard of the Marvel comic universe. In my head, I have this thing called the Pontiverse, and all these characters coexist in a world where, for example, Molly in Dead City is really Florian Bates' cousin, and I know that. They never mention the books, but she is and he is, and they all interconnect. So right now, I have a least favorite book, which is always the book I'm writing because I'm worried it's not going to turn out well. And then once I'm done for a little while, it becomes my very favorite book. And then from there, they all just blend in together. This book, though, because some of you have probably read the different series, this book has an interesting history. So I had just written Framed. Framed had come out, and we're excited about that. It ended up getting on the Florida Sunshine State list, and since it's been on, I think, 11 different state lists. But I was writing the second book. I was writing Vanished. And I was writing Vanished, and I was actually at the exact same spot that I am right now. I'm at the last days of writing Vanished. And my wife and I were about to go on a trip. And we were going to go on a trip to Europe because our son was in college studying in Europe that year. And so I had to finish the book before we left. And I am writing away. And it's literally the night we flew at night. It's literally the day that we left, and I'm finishing Vanished. And when I'm finishing Vanished, my wife came back from school, which is the teacher, thinking I'd be all packed and ready to go, and I was still writing the last chapter. And she's like, "We got to go." And I finished the last chapter, jumped in the shower because I hadn't showered all. I'd been writing nonstop for like 20-something hours, and threw her clothes, hopped on a plane, and flew to England. And this picture was taken the very next day. The very next day, which is my wife, my son, and me in front of Buckingham Palace. And I just finished book 2, so because I'm a writer, I was instantly trying to figure out, well, what's going to be book 3? And book 3, I thought of, which then eventually became Trapped. My first thought was that, well, you know what, maybe book 3 should be, maybe because I was having so much fun in Buckingham Palace, maybe Florian and Margaret should come to London and they could solve a mystery there. And I had this idea about the Sherlock Society, and the Sherlock Society was going to have this event, and they were going to be there. And that was going to be book 2. And then a couple of days later, we're in Paris, and my wife was loving every bit of Paris and raving about how much she kept saying, "It looks just like Paris." And I'm like, "Well, of course it looks like Paris. It is Paris." She goes, "No, but it looks like the Paris you dream about, the Paris in movies, Paris in your heart." I thought Paris has this amazing quality. Paris is like that. And I think, well, maybe Florian will go to London and Paris. I thought, well, wait a minute. No. Florian and Margaret live in Washington, D.C. There's so much there. I don't need anything else. I'm going to come up with a new series. And that, I went to a bookstore when we got back, and I was looking at the kids section, and I started asking myself, what book is missing? And I thought about a picture of my wife and my son, which unfortunately I don't have with me. I would show you, at the Eiffel Tower. And when I looked at it, I thought, yeah, the Eiffel Tower, this would be good. And I looked at the books in the kids section. I thought, that's the cover that's going to be there. I can't believe it. I actually imagined almost the cover it is. It's going to have Eiffel Tower, and you're instantly going to know it's going to be exotic and fun. And I came up with this idea for these 5 spies from around the world. And a couple weeks later, I was at the American Library Association conference, and I was with my publisher. And my publisher and I were walking down the hallway, and I told her, I said, we have a really nice conversation. I said, I think I know what the next book series is going to be. And she said, oh, yeah, what's that? And I described the scene to her that I just read to you, up until the part where he gives her the computer and says, okay, I need you to do it again. And she smiled, and I said, that's what it's going to be. And here it is, and here you are. So I have rambled and rambled way too long, I think. Any last questions? Wait, who is Florian's cousin? Someone is asking. So Molly is the main character of Dead City. And in my mind, Molly and Florian, who is the boy character in Framed, I think Margaret's just